Kia ora and welcome to our domestic cricket video for this week, focusing in on Aotearoa's Plunket Shield, and I do have some HBJ Shield notes as well. No HBJ Shield cricket this weekend. We got the Black Caps playing their third ODI against West Indies. We got some A cricket happening over the next few days, and of course the Plunket Shield first round finished yesterday. But Auckland versus CD, I think that finished on Thursday because Auckland won that by an innings and 61 runs. And that was in Palmerston North, so that was a good away victory for Auckland. Otago defeated Wellington in Wellington, so that was another very good away win there. And Canterbury defeated Northern Districts in Rangiora. So we got wins for Auckland, Otago and Canterbury. Auckland and Otago got the full banger, 20 points. Canterbury got 17 points. Not sure of the intricacies about the points table, but there you have it. And the spotlight for the Plunket Shield this week is going on the youngsters, because the youngsters had a fantastic start to the Plunket Shield. And I'm going to go through team by team and just quickly touch on a few of the funky notes, wrinkles, performances and stuff that caught my eye. And that starts with Auckland, who did have a very impressive victory over CD, a dominant victory. And that victory was built upon their first innings with the bat, which saw Bevon Jacobs hit 94 runs, strike rate of 82. And Lachlan Stackpole, he hit 148 runs at a strike rate of 132. So let's just get some ages for you here. Stackpole's only 20 years old according to Cricinfo, and he's already building out a very nice career so far with Auckland. Been playing Ford Trophy, but hasn't been doing as much as he has in the Plunket Shield. He hit 9 sixes in that innings, and he's currently cruising around with a first class batting average of 37, which is quite impressive for a 20-year-old. Just in his second season with Auckland, he was really impressive across all three formats last summer. But Bevon Jacobs, he is 23 years old, and he's now got a batting average of 56 in first class batting, and he's got a one-day list day strike rate of 100 exactly, I reckon. And of course he's got that very good T20 record, so I'm very impressed with Bevon Jacobs in the longest format. Auckland also had really good bowling performances from Jock McKenzie, Simon Keane and Ryan Harrison as seamers. McKenzie, I love his skill set, but it's the same skill set as Simon Keane. And also Ryan Harrison. Ryan Harrison is a bit older. I think he's 26 years old. McKenzie and Keane are 24 years old. And Harrison, in the Ford Trophy, he scored 131 runs with a strike rate of 113, but he's also got first class analyst day bowling averages below 30. So he's a very, very good all-rounder, but these other two are awesome all-rounders as well. But McKenzie finished with the most wickets. He's on 6 wickets at the top of the charts, averaging 9.1, 2.3 RPO. And both of them McKenzie took 8 wickets, Keane took 9 wickets in the Ford Trophy, but they were both averaging 26. So they're having very good seasons as part of a very good Auckland team. With a lot of really good performances. First class averages, they're both averaging 31 with the ball in first class bowling, but now with Harrison, they are the leaders of the seam attack right now. We might see other bowlers come in and take that responsibility, but they're also really good batters. Eddie Ashok took a couple wickets in this game as well, but the chief destroyer as far as spinners goes was Rohit Gulati, who no longer has a wicket, at least one wicket, in every domestic innings bowled, stretching back to his work with Northern Districts last summer, because he started this game with 0 wickets in the first innings, but he did take his first 5-wicket baggie to win the game for Auckland against Central Districts. And yeah, he doesn't have a wicket in every single innings as a 27-year-old, but he does have his first 5-wicket bag in Aotearoa domestic cricket. Lefty, orthodox spinner, and I think he had the best return for spinners in the first round of Plunket Shield. So watch out for Rohit Gulati. In Auckland, they're playing with Gulati and Ashok. Ashok took 2 wickets in the second innings, Gulati took 5. Each of the seamers took 1 wicket each. So Auckland, their bowling attack in this game that dismissed CD for 191 and 154 after scoring 400 runs. Auckland's bowling attack, 3 young seamers, a really good young leggy, and then a lefty spinner in Gulati who is just starting his domestic cricket career. Let's move on to Northern Districts, who did have a tough loss to Canterbury that we'll talk about in the Canterbury section. But we've got Aryan Mann, the wicketkeeper for ND, who smashed all sorts of runs in the New Zealand Under-19 Development Series a few weeks ago. He started his Plunket Shield career, his first-class cricket career, with scores of 66 and then 54 not out. And that 54 not out came with a strike rate of 138. Very impressive from what I've seen so far this summer with Aryan Mann. He did make his Ford Trophy debut a few weeks ago, but now he's scored runs in the Plunket Shield as a wicketkeeper. Ben Pomare hasn't been playing, so he must be out injured, but ND, they just bring in Aryan Mann, and plenty of competition there for wicketkeeping spots in ND's roster, and I'm curious to see if Pomare and Mann could play in the same ND team. Also, quick shout out to Josh Brown, seamer for Northern Districts, who took 3 wickets in each innings, and he's currently working through a first-class bowling record of 25.7 average, 3.7 RPO, and he's got 3 wickets in each of his last 3 innings. So good stuff there for Josh Brown, who is only 25 years old. I think Aryan Mann is 19 years old, and ND, a funky note about them is that we've seen Xavier Bell play all the Ford Trophy games as a 19-year-old batter, and they've had Snehith Reddy playing a few Ford Trophy games as a 18-year-old. So ND so far this season, we're 6 games into the season, they have had 3 teenagers playing domestic cricket. Great stuff for ND. Slide down Aotearoa, and we have CD. They did lose to Auckland quite heavily, so the only funky youngster to highlight with CD is Taylor Bettelheim, who had a decent score, 62 runs, opening the batting for CD. He's a 24-year-old, and be interesting to see if he stays in that Plunket Shield team for CD over the next few weeks. He does look like a tidy opening batter. I think he was initially from Tauranga, but he's been in the CD system for a few years, and there weren't many CD batters who scored runs in this game against Auckland, and Bettelheim was he was the best CD batter from the weekend, from the first round, so shout out to him. Wellington, they had the tough home loss to Otago, but we did have some interesting youngsters for Wellington in this game. Tim Robinson, 87 not out, and Tim Robinson has been stacking up runs for New Zealand, for Wellington, and he's so we go his recent scores. We got 2, 45, 50, 113, 27, 39, 23, 45, 87 not out, and 1 in the second innings of this game versus Otago. Some of those 20s were T20 cricket, and he's hitting them with great strike rates. He is on fire, and there's a lot of really good young cricketers in Aotearoa, but I think given what he's been doing for the Black Caps Tim Robinson might be one of the best. And Wellington also had a second innings where Nick Kelly, the veteran, scored 150 runs. Shout out to him. But Gareth Severin hit 65 and Jesse Tashkoff hit 97 runs in their second innings. Tashkoff is 25 years old, averaging 36 in first class batting. And Gareth Severin, 25 years old, also averaging 36, but he is 36.6. Tashkoff is 35.9, so we're getting busy with the rounding. But they're basically both 25 years old, averaging 36 in first class batting, and both are really good cricketers. Like Tashkoff as a powerful spinning all-rounder really intrigues me, and Gareth Severin's just been grinding away after up and down few summers, but he's locked into that Wellington batting unit, and I look forward to him developing. As far as development observations goes, they don't get more interesting than Matt Boyle, because he had scores of 70 and 156 not out. Canterbury won this game chasing 370 runs in the second innings. They were 51 for 4. At one point, when Matt Boyle came to the crease, Chad Bowes was cruising along. He hit 118 runs. And Canterbury, though, they were 51 for 4. Then Matt Boyle comes to the crease. He hits 156 not out to help win the game for Canterbury. And Bowes was eventually dismissed, bowled by Jeet Raval's leggies. And Mitch Have came in. He finished it with 59 not out. Canterbury's bowling attack, really solid group of domestic troopers. So it's only these two young batters who had considerable roles, obviously led by Matt Boyle's 70 runs in the first innings, 156 not out in the second innings. And Matt Boyle was the leading run scorer in the Super Smash last summer. Now he's had a real good start to the summer in Ford Trophy and Plunket Shield. So he's cruising through the different formats really nicely, and he averaged 38 in the Ford Trophy with 152 runs. Now he's got back-to-back scores to start the Plunket Shield with game-winning mahi in that second innings. Big Donny score, 156. He's now averaging 35 in first-class batting, averaging 24 in one-day batting, and T20s he's averaging 29 with a strike rate of 147. That goes back to the Super Smash last summer. Scores this season of 34, 73, 28, 17, 70, 156 not out. Matt Boyle is in great form. He's probably the best emerging lefty off the top of my head in Aotearoa. And he, it looked like ND were trying to bowl short to him, and he was just spanking them, but he was hitting boundaries everywhere as well. So shout out to Matt Boyle, very powerful lefty who is in great form for Canterbury. And also shout out to Mitch Hay, because he's 25 years old and he's got a first class batting average of 48.7. Nothing crazy there. So yeah, good stuff from Canterbury. But again, most important thing for those Cantabs is that was game-winning performances. And Matt Boyle, who scored runs in the first innings for Canterbury? No one. No one else except Matt Boyle. Then he goes on, he wins the game in the second innings with 156 not out. Good stuff for Matt Boyle. But we got to go back to the Otago game, because they had some freakish young batters scoring centuries themselves. Jack Boyle had a century, older brother of Matt Boyle. But then we go Jacob Cumming and Tom Jones also hit centuries. Cumming is 21 years old. Jones is 19. Cummings already played 25 first-class games, and he's got an average of 27. And he only seems to play Plunket Shield. Like, if you go to his last 10 games on Cricinfo, they're all first-class Plunket Shield games, and they go back to the end of the 23-24 season. So he's only playing Plunket Shield. And those 10 games, he doesn't have a 50 in like the first half of those scores, and then the second half of those scores is like 3, 62, 38, 49, 14, 6, 47, 113, 42 not out, because he did go 42 not out in the second innings as Otago were chasing their target of 96 runs. So, and Jacob Cumming is another lefty who is the opening batter, and he is a very interesting opening batter to watch out for, because he does look like a quintessential long form opening bat. And now he's got, that might be his first century. I'll double check that very quickly. Yes, that was his first century in first class batting, but he's got 350s as well, and he looks to be in good touch. Most of his most of his runs have come in his last kind of 5 games of first class batting. So it's good to see Jacob Cumming developing well for Otago. And of course we have Tom Jones, the 19-year-old, who kind of just came out swinging. He hit 119 runs at a strike rate of 96. So the other century hitters for Otago: Boyle, strike rate of 61. Cumming, strike rate of 72. Tom Jones, strike rate of 96. And he's only 19 years old. I actually think he started in Auckland and then moved down to Otago, where he has now made his Plunket Shield debut, and he batted 3 in this game. So the selection is obviously interesting. A 19-year-old batting 3 in the first round of Plunket Shield. Him and Cumming didn't play any Ford Trophy. Then they hit centuries, and that is awesome for them. There were no super duper young talents in the bowling unit, but Otago's solid crew: Dunru Ferns, Luke Georgeson, Jared Mackay, Glenn Phillips, Matthew Bacon, Ben Lockrose, Jack Boyle, did the bowling duties fairly well against Wellington. And the best Otago bowlers after that first round: Dunru Ferns and Glenn Phillips. Glenn Phillips took 5 wickets with his offies. But the Otago funk there is around... But the Otago funk there is around their 2 young batters, and of course Jack Boyle, who hit centuries on day 1. And most of the dudes who scored runs in that first round, because there was Nick Kelly, there was Jack Boyle, there was Barrett Popley, hit a century and a 50+ score as well, Chad Bowes obviously. Most of the dudes who scored runs in that first round, 25 years or younger. And that's a great sign for Aotearoa cricket, especially the way they're playing, like Stackpole just coming out and smashing it, Tom Jones basically smashing it. We know how Tim Robinson bats. We think we know how Bevon Jacobs bats, but he is far craftier than the perception of him. And there's like very good all-round batters like Matt Boyle just dominating, Cumming a more a typical opener. So we've got a nice variety of how these batters plays. We've got some lefties, we've got some righties, we've got some wicket keepers, we've got lower order opening batters, middle order. Such variety in how these young dudes have dominated the first round of Plunket Shield. Slide over to HBJ Shield, and we have Kate Anderson. She started with a knock of 171 not out for Canterbury. They did have 2 losses versus Central Districts, but Anderson's an interesting player because she may be in the White Ferns mix for some top order batting, especially with the form of some of the other batters, the other women batters around Aotearoa. And Anderson has a fantastic one-day record: 5 centuries, 12 halfies, average of 33.7, which is dominant for women's cricket in New Zealand. And she started this season with a century. I think she finished last season with a century as well. She hits, she scored a 1 run on the Sunday against CD, but before that she had scores of 118 and 62 to finish last summer. Then she went large with 171 not out, so she has 2 centuries and 50 in her last 4 innings. That makes her one of the best form batters in New Zealand, and considering what the White Ferns are up to, may be wise to get a mature, experienced batter who is in form into that White Ferns mix where she can keep rising, scoring runs and doing some great stuff. Other young batters of note from the HBJ Shield first round, Prue Catton for Auckland. She hit a 87 not out. And we had Saffron Wilson for Otago, hit 79 runs. Prue Catton is 22 years old. Saffron Wilson is 23 years old. Saffron Wilson has a HBJ Shield in recent seasons, and Prue Catton has been a very good player for Auckland for a few years now without really dominating, but she had a good start to the season. Other batters who scored 50s, Hannah Rowe, Kerry Tomlinson, Maddie Green, Brooke Halliday, but we've also got Natasha Wakelin. She is only 19 years old and she had a score of 62 in the first round for Northern Districts, and she's been very talented in that Northern Districts group for a few summers without scoring the runs. Once again, she played at the Under-19 World Cup at the start of this year. She had no scores over 25 in the 9 games prior to her knocker 62 versus Wellington, and she does look like a powerful emerging batter to watch out for. So there's a nice mix of veterans, mature cricketers and youngsters who scored runs in the first round of HBJ Shield, with a bit of White Ferns stuff sprinkled in. Maybe Kate Anderson plays her way into the team. Maybe Hannah Rowe gets more opportunities, because she did score 96 runs in the first weekend, averaging 48. So that's good stuff. Hannah Rowe has a lot more to offer the White Ferns, but she's been in and out of the squad more recently. And then the other thing of note from the first round of HBJ Shield was the group of seamers that we have in domestic cricket right now. Shout out Fran Jonas, lefty, took 5 wickets. One of the leading wicket takers in HBJ Shield. Shout out to Elizabeth Kaur. She is a 23-year-old who took 4 wickets on debut as a spinner for CD. But then we go the seamers. The 2 leading wicket takers with Fran Jonas are both seamers, Lucy Boucher and Amy Hucker. Lucy Boucher took 5 wickets at 2.5 RPO across the weekend for Northern Districts, and Amy Hucker, 23-year-old, she took 5 wickets in the opening round for Auckland. But then we've got, these are all bowlers who took at least 3 wickets in the first weekend of HBJ Shield. The seamers specifically, Jess Simmons, 4 wickets in her first 2 games for Wellington, having moved from Canterbury. She looks to be one of the faster seamers in Aotearoa, maybe not as fast as Rosemary Mayer, who also took 4 wickets for CD. We've got Cook Islands International, Gabby Sullivan, took 4 wickets. Natasha Kadaya, really interesting seamer for Wellington, took 4 wickets. Claudia Green, CeeLo Green, 4 wickets for CD. Then we got Josie Penfold and Molly Penfold. They took 3 wickets each. Jess Kerr, dominant force in HBJ Shields, she took 3 wickets. And Missy Banks, funky all-round talent for Canterbury, she took 3 wickets as well. Also scored a few runs. And right there you've got an interesting mix of women's seamers. We've got Rosemary Mayer as one of the most hostile seamers in Aotearoa. She had a good start. You've got bowlers like Simmons and Sullivan, who are a little bit older. Josie Penfold as well, they had a good start. Molly Penfold wasn't in the World Cup squad. She and Jess Kerr wasn't necessarily fantastic for a White Ferns team who struggled at the World Cup. Penfold and Jess Kerr will be eager to dominate HBJ Shield as Whitefern seamers. But then we got those emerging bowlers as well: Boucher, Haka, Kadaya, and Missy Banks all had fantastic starts to the women's cricket season here in New Zealand. Big up to you. Big up to domestic cricket in Aotearoa. Aotearoa is the best cricketing nation in the world, and we're just doing our best to keep that rocking and rolling, moving in a groove, and go take some wickets, score some runs, and even take a catch. Because you got to catch the ball, you got to catch them all, as we like to say. Big up to you, church.